All right, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about the Tarrasque, one of the most feared, dangerous titans in the game of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, or really any edition of D&D for that matter. To do this, we are going to eventually go over to the screen capture so I can show you all that kind of stuff. The Tarrasque has a very interesting kind of backstory to its history, in the fact that most of its history is pretty minimal. It's basically known to be a creature that kind of lives in the core of the earth a lot of times, in some way, shape, or form, in most of the stories that are portrayed of it. Typically, it sleeps and eats. It sleeps for a very long time, and then when it rouses, it eats for a while, and then goes back to sleep and causes a lot of destruction in its wake. So we are going to jump over here to the screen capture right now so we can actually look into the stat block and see how it kind of plays mechanically in the 5th edition game. So here we have the Tarrasque, Gargantuar Monstrosity, ridiculous. Like, it's the biggest size you can be in the game. Okay, so just think of it that way. Armor class 25. So when you think about it from a traditional standpoint, most of your first level characters are going to have a +5 to hit if they're using standard array. So they're going to hit only on natural 20. So it gives you an idea, like, this is not for beginning level adventurers unless you find a way to scale this thing the way the heck down. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. This is for your end game, big bad, like just game ending kind of monster that could destroy worlds just because it feels like it. It's a very powerful creature. You can even see that it's got these nice big horns with this very tough carapace on the back, which actually flavors in a lot to the actual mechanics that come in here on the stat block itself. We've got 676 hit points, which for the hit point calculation is 33d20 plus 330, or 33d20 plus 330 hit points. That's a beefy boy. That is a very tough monster. Yeah, run in fear. Run in fear. We've got a 40 speed. Its initiative bonus, surprisingly, is 0. It moves very slowly. It basically, for the size that it has, it moves in slow motion, which is kind of funny. However, that does not mean it does not attack very often. If we look at our stat array, I mean, like, look at, we've got 30s in strength and con, like, +10s. And you can even see, not the most intelligent creature in the world. It's very kind of feral. It's unaligned. So that's actually something that's really interesting. It's not necessarily an evil creature. It just wants to eat and then go back to bed and sleep for, like, you know, another 6 months or hundreds of thousands of years, depending on how you flavor it in your game. And then you also have your 11 wisdom and 11 charisma for +0s and 11 dexterity for +0. However, saving throws and all the mental stats, proficiencies, I mean, or sort of proficiencies, kind of doesn't make sense. So we have a +5 intelligence save, +9 wisdom save, and +9 charisma save. Actually, no, it does make sense because we have a -4 intelligence, but our proficiency bonus is +9. So we're still getting a pretty good bonus on our intelligence save, our wisdom, and our charisma saves. The only save we're not good at is our dexterity save because we are giant beefy boys that aren't going anywhere. Damage immunities. So, fire and poison. So all you big fireball wizards, sorry, you're screwed. And then poison, one of the most resisted damage types in the 5th edition version of the game. As is fire, kind of, to a certain extent, so something to keep in mind. And then immunity to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. So you gotta have those magic swords to hit this thing if you're just gonna be a melee character. Or just someone using a bow. It's gotta be a magical weapon or else it ain't doing anything to this guy. Condition immunities, we got charmed, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. I mean, poison makes sense. Why would it ever get frightened? And then the paralyzed condition and the charmed condition, I mean, I think we all get the idea of why. It's a big, beefy boy. It's not going to be charmed. It's also very feral and unaligned. It's not going to be a problem for it. Intelligence of 3, it's very feral. You ain't charming that thing. Blind sight, 120 feet. So that's the funny thing about the Tarrasque. It doesn't really use its eyesight for its actual sight. It uses blind sight, which is actually a really funny part of this particular creature. Passive perception, 10, ironically. But it does have blind sight out to 120 feet, so it can see pretty far within its own range. Doesn't speak any languages other than roaring. Like we said, challenge rating 30 for that big, beefy 155,000 experience points, which is likely going to lead your characters either into level 20 territory if they aren't there already, or you have to start thinking about like honor level classes and systems and stuff like that as a dungeon master for after this encounter, because this thing is very tough. No hiding for the rogues or the people that go invisible. This thing is going to know exactly where you are thanks to that blind sight. You're screwed. Legendary resistance. It can fail a saving throw and it chooses to succeed instead for 3 times a day. Pretty standard for most of the big legendary type creatures. Nothing too much different there. Magic resistance. So this is a funny one. It's got advantage on saving throws against spells or magical effects. So if you thought that, oh, I will just use other magical effects because it's immune to those things. Well, guess what? It's got advantage on those saving throws. So, and the fact is of the matter is it also will just auto succeed 3 times in a day. So good luck. Very challenging creature to take down. Here's the funny ability that I think people, not everyone really knows. Let's just be honest. Anytime the Tarrasque is targeted by the magic missile spell or any other spell that has a line, it doesn't actually hit him. So if your characters don't know this, you roll a d6, 1 to 5, it just glances off the carapace, does nothing. On a 6, it actually reflects and goes right back at the origin character. So if you cast Magic Missile at a really high level and you roll a 6 on that d6, all those bolts are coming right back in your face. It's amazing. Like, the fact that this creature, I mean, it just looks like a big beefy boy, but in addition to being a big beefy boy, he also basically is almost immune to spells. Deals double damage to objects and structures because he's a siege monster. I mean, I would be too if I was a Gargantuan Monstrosity Titan. Makes sense. Multi-attack. So it can use its frightful presence and then make 5 attacks. That's right, 5 attacks. Bite, 2 claws, 1 horn, 1 tail, and it can use the swallow attack instead of a bite if it's already got somebody that it's biting. Or it can use it instead of the bite. So it's very kind of crazy. Yeah, no Eldritch Blast for your warlocks. Gross. Exactly. Bite. This is not a typo. I know my camera just went crazy because it was so surprised by what's going on down here. But that is not a typo. Plus 19 to hit on its bite with a 10-foot reach. 36 points of damage on average, 4d12 plus 10. If it is a creature, it is grappled. Escape DC 20. Until this grapple ends, the target is restrained, and the Tarrasque can't bite another target. So, this will come in handy in a second. So keep that in mind as we're going forward. Claw. Plus 19 to hit. Oh yeah, everything's plus 19 to hit. Reach of 15 feet. 28 damage, 48 10, plus 10 slash damage on a hit. Horns. Plus 19 to hit. Reach of 10 feet. 1 target. 32 points of damage, 4d10 plus 10. Tail attack, 19 to hit. Reach 20 feet, 24 points of damage. DC 20 strength save or be knocked prone. Frightful presence, DC 17 wisdom save or become frightened for a minute. You can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns. If you're successful during that time, you'll be immune to the frightful presence for 24 hours. It works very similarly to your ancient dragons and stuff like that. Swallow. The Tarrasque makes 1 bite attack against a large or smaller creature that is already grappling from this bite attack over here. If the attack hits, the target takes the bite damage, and then the target is swallowed, and the grapple ends. However, they are now blinded and restrained because they're in its belly, and now they have total cover against all attacks. However, they are also taking 56 acid damage at the start of each of their turns because they're inside its stomach. If the Tarrasque takes 60 or more damage in a single turn from a creature inside of it, it must succeed on a DC 20 saving throw, or else it'll regurgitate all the swallowed creatures, which then fall prone in a space 10 feet within the Tarrasque. If they die, the swallowed creature is no longer restrained, and it can escape the corpse by using 30 feet of movement, exiting prone. So, that's just the mundane stuff. We haven't even gotten to the legendary actions yet. But you can already see, you do not want to get eaten by this big beefy boy. You're in trouble. Legendary actions, you have 3 of them. And you can use them however you choose to after the end of someone's turn. You can either attack with a claw attack or a tail attack. You can move half your speed. Or you can use 2 actions to make a bite attack, or use your swallow with this chomp legendary action. So, this, again, for those of you who have never seen or played with a Tarrasque or haven't really looked at the stat block recently or anything like that, There is a lot of detail here to unpack. Not only can it pack a huge punch, now keep in mind, plus 19 to hit, I mean, you can build your giant armor style artificer with a crazy bonuses with like you're just messing around with like class and race combinations to make your big AC. Yeah, it's still got a plus 19 to hit unless you have something crazy like a 29, or then it's still a coin flip. That's right, 29 AC is a coin flip with this creature. Let that sink in just a little bit. All right, still with me? Cool. Damage output, crazy. So you're talking 36, 28, 32, 20. I mean, you're talking over 100 damage in a round because they're gonna hit you. Let's be honest. They're gonna hit you unless they roll a natural 1 and you count natural 1s as auto miss. Which technically +1 plus 19 is still a 20 to hit. So it's probably still gonna hit you no matter what. And then we're talking the swallow attack, 56 damage at the start of each of your turns. That's a quick blender, easy to take you out. But I think the thing that's really interesting about this creature is the fact that not only is it like dangerous for the martial characters to jump in front of this thing, it's dangerous for the spellcasters too, because it has this reflective carapace for these line magic missile spells. And it's also got resistance, magical resistance, plus legendary resistance stacked on top of it. So you're talking like, it's still nuts. Like you have to really get lucky on the dice, or you've got to really focus on using dex save based abilities. Like it's just that powerful. Now you can, in theory, have a really fast creature that stands really far away, and there's ways and mechanics that you can get around it. You could say, oh, I'm 200 feet away, and I'm just going to keep firing at it with my longbow, like, or whatever, or 150 feet away, and I have a speed of, if you're like a Tabaxi or any other race that has like really fast movement speed, you can be like, oh, it'll never catch up to me. Yes, that's true. But that's not how it's meant to be played. And not only that, this thing is, yeah, you'll be the one person to survive. So that is the Tarrasque. If you guys want more information about different monsters, especially some of these bigger, beefier boys, but some of these creatures that are kind of those famous ones for Dungeons & Dragons, make sure you check out the link to the playlist. That's going to be somewhere around here on the screen at some point on the YouTube side of things. I also run a live stream game on Tuesdays. We're going to be on hiatus for the week of Thanksgiving, but back the following week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with dice giveaways at the break. So make sure you come down. That's going to be on twitch.tv/bluecollardm. Make sure you check that out. Lastly, if you haven't joined the newsletter, please do. There's going to be a link down in the description. You'll actually get a behind-the-scenes look at how we kind of do all this stuff and get some really cool tidbits of information, some free stuff out of that as well. So hope you all learned something today, and until next time, happy gaming.